The Selfish Giant. Once upon a time, in a quaint village, there stood a magnificent garden owned by a giant. This garden was a true paradise, with lush green grass, vibrant flowers, and towering trees heavy with fruit. Every afternoon, children from the village would gather in the garden to play. They loved the garden dearly and spent hours running, laughing, and enjoying its beauty. One day, the giant returned from a long journey. He was surprised and very angry to see the children playing in his garden. "What are you doing here?" he roared. "This garden belongs to me. I will not allow anyone else to play here." Determined to keep the garden all to himself, he built a high wall around it and put up a sign that read, "Trespassers will be prosecuted." The children were heartbroken. They had no place to play and missed the garden terribly. They tried to play on the dusty roads and in the barren fields, but nothing compared to the beauty of the giant's garden. Seasons came and went, but inside the high walls of the garden, it was always winter. Without the children's laughter and joy, the garden's beauty faded. The trees refused to bloom, the flowers wilted, and the birds stopped singing. The once vibrant garden was now cold and desolate. One morning, as the giant lay in his bed, he was awakened by the sound of beautiful music. He thought it must be the king's musicians passing by, but when he looked out of his window, he saw a wonderful sight. The children had found a way through a small hole in the wall and had crept back into the garden. With their return, the garden was alive again. Flowers blossomed, trees bore fruit, and the birds sang sweetly. Spring had returned to the garden. The giant's heart melted as he watched the children play. He realized how selfish he had been. Quietly, he went outside and opened the gate to the garden. The children saw him and froze, afraid he would be angry again. But the giant smiled and said, "This garden is now yours to play in whenever you like." The children cheered with delight and ran to the giant, hugging him tightly. The giant knocked down the wall he had built and threw away the sign. From that day on, the garden was always filled with the laughter and joy of children. The giant became a kind and gentle friend to all, playing with the children and telling them stories. Years passed, and the giant grew very old and weak. One winter morning, he looked out of his window and saw a tree in the far corner of the garden, covered in beautiful blossoms. Its branches were golden, and silver fruits hung from them. Underneath the tree stood a child, radiantly beautiful. The giant was filled with wonder and joy. He went out into the garden and approached the child. As he drew near, he noticed that the child had wounds on his hands and feet. "Who has dared to harm you?" cried the giant. "Tell me so I may avenge you." The child smiled and said, "These are the wounds of love. You allowed me to play in your garden once, and today you shall come with me to my garden, which is paradise." When the villagers came to the garden that afternoon, they found the giant leaning peacefully over the tree, covered in beautiful blossoms. It was as if the blossoms had grown over the gentle giant. Legend says that the giant still watches over the children playing in the garden, ensuring they enjoy its beauty and joy forever.